Hi, welcome to this analysis of Chopin's Opus 28, Prelude number 20 in C minor, apparently composed in Majorca in 1838. I feel a jazz-type analysis is entirely suitable as the block harmony is quite easily labelled and analysed, just as we would a jazz standard with chord symbols and Roman numerals. Notes. Number 1. This type of jazz analysis does not in any way seek to try to reduce the magic and wonders of this profoundly emotional short piece. It merely attempts to describe some of the harmonic devices Chopin employed. 2. As I transcribed this piece by ear, I decided to notate it using mainly half notes, as that is the notation that occurs to me when the piece is played slowly, which I prefer. I understand that this is different from the original score. Okay, let's look at some overall points of interest before analysing the piece bar by bar. 1. Form. The form is A-B-A-2. Then afterwards, B-A-2 is repeated. I label the last A, A2, as it has a slightly different ending from the first A section. More on this later. Point of interest. 2. Dynamics. Looking at this waveform of the prelude, we can see clearly the stunning dynamic contour of this piece. The first A section is loud, perhaps even angry. Starting at B, the dynamic changes abruptly lower to piano, creating a more introspective mood. The effect is devastating. In my opinion, dynamics are undervalued in today's popular music. Compression, perhaps the most common of all production techniques, evens out all the dynamics, making all the notes the same volume. This is a shame, as there is such depth of expression in different dynamic levels. Do we really want a world where everything is the same? The Netflix programs, the McDonald's, even the news we consume? Point of interest 3. Rhythmic figure. The following simple rhythmic figure boom, 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 is repeated throughout the piece. It actually never stops. Sometimes it is in the melody, and sometimes it is in the second voice. I believe this incessant motive has something to do with the profoundness of this piece. Point of interest 4. Key centers. There are 4 key centers, all closely related. The piece starts in C harmonic minor. More about this in a minute. At bar 3, there is a modulation to A flat major. This is very close to C minor. We just add 1 flat into the key signature. At bar 5, the piece modulates to F minor, the relative minor to A flat major. And at bar 7, it modulates to G major, the dominant of C minor. Each of these changes evokes different emotions in the listener. Here are the key centers and chord progressions summed up in a chord crib sheet for the first 8 bars that can facilitate transposition into any key. Point of interest 5. Jazz elements. Even though jazz appeared approximately 100 years after this piece, it can be very interesting for a jazz buff like myself to highlight particular moments that can be analysed so well with jazz terminology, such as sharp 5 chords, 13th chords, and minor 7th chords, plus tritone substitutions. Bar by bar analysis. Bars 1 to 3. These first 2 bars are in C harmonic minor. I say harmonic as the first 4 chords all come from this particular minor scale. The chords are C minor, F minor 7, G7 augmented, and C minor. 1 minor, 4 minor, 5 dominant 7, and 1 minor. These chords come from the harmonic minor. In the natural minor, the 1, 4, 5 would all be minor. In the melodic minor, the 1 would be minor, the 4 and the 5 major. And in the Dorian, the chords would be 1 minor, 4 major, and 5 minor. This progression is so important to know as it is ubiquitous in all kinds of music. Here is a famous example of it in E minor, Sting's Fragile.
If blood will flow, flesh and steel are one, drying in the color of the evening sun. Tomorrow's rain.
Noteworthy is the F minor 7 chord with the E flat. I wonder how common that was at the time this was written, in 1838. Bar 2, the G7 is spiced up with the augmented 5th D sharp or E flat. That ups the emotion at this moment. For me, this sharpened 5th provokes a poignant, somber feeling. Bar 3, the first melodic phrase is now repeated verbatim, but in A flat. The melody notes in A flat are 5, 6, 5, 4, and 3. We have just heard these exact numbers in bar 1, but in C minor. 5, 6, 5, 4, and 3. Such beauty in repetition. The E flat 5 chord contains the C natural a third below the melody. This makes it an E flat 13 chord. Cool, huh? Bar 5, this G7 chord is striking after the A flat chord, especially with the D natural in the melody coming after the previous D flat. It's like, wow. This phrase has a distinctive F minor melodic sound. So we're going to analyze this in F minor. The chord progression here, therefore, is 2, 7, 5, 7, 1 minor, 5. The G7 is the dominant of the 5 chord C7. The G melody in bar 6 over the F minor is a very emotional moment. This is the 9th on a minor chord used by so many musicians to imbue their music with feeling. Here is a stunning example of the 9th, Egberto Gismonti, Agua y Vino in D minor. By the way, please note that the majority of scholars play the last chord in bar 6 as a C minor. I understand there was some ambiguity in the original score with regard to this. I personally favour the major chord as heard in the version by Barry Manilow, Could It Be Magic, where he plagiarises the prelude. Bar 7, this last phrase of the A section modulates to G major, but starts on the dominant 7th. This abrupt harmonic shift from the previous C chord, whether it be C major or C minor, is huge. It produces an upward feeling. What is so beautiful about bars 7 and 8 is the elegant way the phrase and harmony leads the listener back to C minor. Particularly noteworthy in bar 8 is the D13th chord with the B in the melody, as it is such a striking sound. Bar 9, the start of the B section. In this bar there is a very emotional, beautiful chord movement. The C minor chord is followed by an A flat over C chord. Neither the melody or the bass notes change, just one inner voice, the G to the A flat. This A flat over C can also be labelled C minor augmented 5th. This chord is very similar as well to F minor 7, but as it is a triad, it has a primal powerful sound. So just containing 3 notes, each note is of paramount importance. This B section, by the way, features a descending bass line. C, B, B flat, A flat, G, F, E flat, to great effect. The A flat diminished chord is similar in construction to a G7 flat 9 chord. The inside line from A flat to F sharp continues the previous rhythmical line as previously mentioned. The F sharp is a momentary dissonance that is quickly resolved. The F sharp outside note adds just a touch more of instability, uncertainty to the proceedings. Bar 11 is a gem. In order to analyse this, we need to work backwards from the C minor chord in bar 13, the last A section. The G chords in bar 12 are the 5-7 of this C minor tonic chord. The A flat then, that is so outstanding with its flat 5 in the melody, is actually the tritone substitute for D7, the dominant of this G7 chord. The A flat 7 contains C and G flat, which are also the 3rd and 7th of D7. So this is a perfect example of the famous tritone substitution, used so many years later in jazz compositions, such as Duke Ellington's In a Sentimental Mood. The A minor 7 chord here is incredibly striking because it sounds and feels different, as the piece at this moment is in C minor, so the change is startling. This A minor 7th can be thought of as the relative 2 minor 7 chord of D7. The 2 minor 7 5 7 1 progression is A minor 7 D7 G. For me, this is pure jazz, but I wonder what people thought some 180 years ago. Bar 13, this is basically a recapitulation of the first section. However, the mood and feeling is different as certain chords are inverted. Inversions are very powerful chord sounds that invoke strong emotions. Listen to the C minor over E flat and the G chord over a B in bar 14. Bar 16, the last chord of the piece is preceded by a G7 augmented chord. In the first A section, the chords at this point were E flat 13 to A flat. Now at bar 16, the chords are G7 augmented to C minor with a D natural in the melody. For me, what is really beautiful is the change at the end of bar 15 from D flat to G7. This tritone movement deserves a video of its own. Here is the same movement heard in Billy Joel's Honesty.
You might just as well be blind. It always seems to be so hard to get.
And here in Lionel Richie's Hello.
I can see it in your smile. You're all I've ever wanted, and my arms are open wide.
This is a wonderful emotional device to delight and get to know. It is tremendous the quantity of musical and emotional gems contained in this Chopin prelude, written so many years ago. We are so lucky to have been left such inspirational music that enriches our lives. I, for one, am eternally grateful. I hope you found this video interesting and a rewarding use of your time. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe, click the like button and the alert bell to be notified of new uploads. Also, if you wish to directly support and nurture the creation of similar presentations in the future, please visit the Jazz Duets Patreon page. Thanks and see you next time.